Devin McCourty talked about it on Football Night in America. He said watching in the film room with Sims, he goes, he's got a couple rockets on his feet.
I was like, he didn't say that. Feet? I said it up his ass. Come on. You going to quote me? Quote me right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. We are here on Wednesday, week 9. What the happened review, a.k.a. Treasure Hunters. We're starting out with swears everywhere on this one. I mean, rockets on his feet. What are you talking about, Devin McCourty? I am here with Ahmed Fareed. He is wearing some very bright blue pants and a bright zip-up. Well, not that bright of a blue zip-up hoodie.
It's all blue, though.
It's all blue. I like it. You're copying my style. I say it because, I'm always blue.
You're black on Sunday night.
Which, I was a little offended Sunday night. Because I came out Sunday night, week 9, and you were like, I think you should start doing this every week. This should be a new thing. And I want to be like, I have. It's week 9. I've worn it 9 weeks in a row.
No, I go, is this your look every week? And you go, yes. Yeah, thank you for finally noticing.
So you're saying I quoted you wrong there.
Yeah, exactly. Rockets on his feet. Rockets on his shirt. No, this is, I walked out of the house today and Kathleen was like, that's a lot of blue. And then I was wearing the blue socks,
too. And you said,
too.
wait, I'm with Chris Sims Unbuttoned. The sign is blue.
The sign is blue.
Chris wears mostly blue on most days.
Usually on Wednesday, he's a little blue because he's tired from the long week that he's had, but you come in more refreshed and smiling and bright-eyed than any week this season so far.
Thank you to Ahmed Fareed and the suggestion of maybe you shouldn't do the Monday and Tuesday morning show on PFT with that little of sleep. And I didn't do Tuesday this week. It was great. It's a game changer, actually. So I feel totally different this Wednesday morning where I'm usually in a fog and literally starting the pod, drinking coffee and going, okay, here we go. Let me get going here. Let me start thinking correctly. I feel like I'm thinking as correctly as I can think. Good. I'm up to maximum capacity for Chris Sims right now, at least.
So Kristen, Gabby, Morgan, Mackenzie, Pete back there.
Lots of swears coming.
Lots of swears. Yeah. It's going to be about 2.5 hours. We're going to be going. We're not going to want to stop
here.
And
I owe Kristen. Kristen, anyways, she's been in Germany all last week.
That's true.
She was slacking.
Yep.
So I'm going to say all the bad words for her today. She sent me a German license plate picture of the word that had the U bleeped out, and it said F*CK.
Yeah.
Right? It's a great license plate. I need to get one like that.
Is that a thing in Germany, though? I mean, was that actually,
unless there's another German word that I don't know of, I'm not sure.
There are a lot of German words we don't know. That was good. Kristen sending that, thinking of us. Every time she sees a 4-letter word, she thinks of Chris Sims at this point, which is cool. All right, we got a lot to do in this podcast because, of course, we do have treasure hunters, a.k.a. What the F happened, a.k.a. let's just look at the film review. But we also want to do some mid-season awards, and we wanted some real mid-season awards,
right.
Who's the mid-season MVP, Rookie
homies
of the Year, all that stuff. But we also wanted the homies to come up with their creative mid-season awards.
Yeah.
And they did a great job with that because we have the best listeners and viewers
of
out there.
all homies.
We have the best homies of all homies. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with the mid-season awards.
Okay.
Let's start with the basic ones. We'll save the creative ones for a little bit down the road here. Let's look at the DraftKings odds right now for MVP. So here we are, smack dab in the middle of the season, and this is, according to them, a 3-person race, potentially a 5-person race here. So the favorites are all at plus 350, and there are 3 co-favorites.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes, all at plus 350, and then just a little bit behind, you have Tua at plus 650, and then you have Joe Burrow probably creeping up here. I'm sure he wasn't plus 700 just a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week. And then a little bit longer shots, you have Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, and Trevor Lawrence, but still in that upper echelon.
Yeah.
So as we sit here right now, who would you declare as your midseason MVP?
Well, again, I think it's, to me, a little bit frustrating and annoying that it's all quarterbacks other than Christian McCaffrey.
Agreed.
To me, there's something wrong with the process where only a quarterback can win MVP in football. It's basically in other sports being only a shooting guard can win the MVP in basketball, or only the guy who hits the most home runs. Or the best pitcher. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. I don't think it's fair. All right. So the first thing I would say is watch out for Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Those would be the 2 guys that are on this list that I would certainly say, I feel like, to your point and what you said about Burrow, arrow pointing up, trajectory going steep upward incline to where I feel like stats are going to start to blow up to add into the fact of yes, they're both playing really good football. I see, Mahomes. I don't see MVP-ish week in, week out type of performances from Mahomes right now.
Right.
And Jalen Hurts, who's been really good this year, and I would argue has actually made more high-level throws through 9 weeks this year than he did last year, right? In a lot of ways. But he's also, second in football in turnovers? You can't be the MVP with being second in football in turnovers. That doesn't make sense to me. All right, here, if I was going to pick an MVP right now from what we've seen, Tyreek Hill is the MVP of football.
He's your MVP.
He is my MVP through the 9 weeks of the season of what we've seen and who is most valuable to their team, let alone, the most special entity in the game right now. I'm going Tyreek Hill. Right, the Dolphins, everything about them. You take him off the Dolphins, they're a good offense. I'm not sure they're a great offense. He's on pace still, even with the lackluster week last week of being right there at 2,000 yards and shattering the all-time record. The guy with the ball in his hands is the most dangerous guy in the sport. The guy before the game even starts is the guy defensive coordinators worry about more than any other player in the sport in game planning and stopping him. So that's where. I give Tyreek Hill, and I'm ashamed A.J. Brown isn't on that list too because he should be above some of these quarterbacks. But Tyreek Hill for me would be the MVP right now.
I mean, will we ever see the day where quarterbacks don't get all the love for MVP? Because Pete mentions in my ear, and he makes a good point, and the point is that it's the most important position in all of football. If you don't have the quarterback playing at a high level, you're probably not going to be a championship team that year. Maybe you won't even be a playoff team. Yeah. And so it's like the reason that we do give him all the love for MVP is without that key piece, because without Tyreek Hill, I mean, I guess you could make the case without Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins.
I don't think the Dolphins' offense, Tua, the stats are not going to be the same.
He's more important to that offensive flow than anything. Any quarterback
exactly.
will be.
That's all I'm trying to say. It's not an indictment on Tua. Tua is really good. I got that. But, for me to sit here and you go, wait, you subtract him for him, like they're going to be in a much worse place, without Tyreek Hill and supplanting some other starting receiver in football there as compared to where if we took Tua out and put another starting quarterback there. I think there's going to be a much bigger drop-off in that department. That's where I would go with Tyreek Hill. And, again, I'm going to continue to be fair in this conversation and beat this down because it is stupid. It's not. I understand it's the most important position in sports. I get that. But I also think that there's a lot of things that sometimes add to the quarterback stats and what they get, and win-losses, of course, go on their stats as it is too. And I just don't think that's always fair or right. And that's why I'm going to support Tyreek.
I think if Christian McCaffrey goes off and the 49ers go on this massive run
through 4 weeks, that would have been my first pick.
Do it. I think he could do it. I'm going to go chalk-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd go Patrick Mahomes right now.
Yeah.
I'd go Patrick Mahomes. They're 7-2. Right?
Yeah.
We don't think there's anything about the Chiefs. Defensively, as you broke down last week, defensively, and we will break down here, they're a lot better.
Right.
And they may be as good as they've been with Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback.
Definitely.
But, offensively, without Patrick Mahomes, what are they?
I think that's a fair point. I think that's where he's sneaky a good candidate for that reason. I don't think he's not going to have the stats that blow us away this year to where we're going to look at it and go, oh, he definitely is. But again, when you talk about valuable player, not the guy with the best stats on the best team. Yeah, you're right. To make it work with that offense right now, the receivers certainly don't blow you out of the water, right? It's Kelsey, and then it's just who's going to be the other guy that day. We never know. It kind of changes, whatever else. And you're right. It's Mahomes that gives that team belief and makes the offense work. But as of right now, that offense is not anything special. They kind of feast on the poor. And then when they got to play good teams, a little bit like we'll talk about with Miami, their offense kind of struggles, and it is very reliant on Mahomes to make extraordinary plays.
Pete threw something in here, and this is interesting. Tyreek Hill is plus 4,000 to win the MVP.
Right.
A.J. Brown is plus 7,500, so he's even a bigger value there, and he is affecting that offense in similar ways.
Exactly. That's where I just look at them, and I look at the value they have to their football team right now, and I just go, it's up there with anybody in the sport at any position, and I don't understand why it doesn't get valued more in the public. What a great weapon to go, okay, it's third and 8, and I can throw the ball 4 yards, and he can break 2 tackles and get first down. oh, it's 3rd and 8, and they're blitzing us, and I have nowhere to throw. Let me just throw it up to this guy, and he'll go up and catch it, right? Oh, it's 1st and 10. Let me just throw a screen over here, and now he's going to break a tackle and run up the sidelines for 45 yards. Like, those are game-changing special type things that I think are a little bit going undervalued in this conversation, and that's where I just would like to see them get more love.
Are we worried, though, about Tyreek and the Dolphins offense as a whole slowing down? We saw it last year.
I know.
So this year, Tyreek has over 1,000 yards already, 8 touchdowns. Last year through 9 games, over 1,000 yards. Only had 3 touchdowns there, but still, they were using him a ton. Last year, though, his final 8 games, 606 yards. Now, they did have quarterback injuries.
Yeah, right.
But are we
Change
worried?
Things.
And we did see this past week.
Yeah.
Chiefs had a pretty good plan for him.
No, I think there's definitely a worry there. You know, what you've seen now, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Bills have certainly put a blueprint out a little bit to how to give that Dolphins offense some problems. You know, but like, to me, the Bills did some things there. You know, they're going to play them again. The Bills' defense is going to be totally different when they play them because of the injuries. Right, so that's one thing I look at. But the other thing I would look at is just go, you know, most defenses are not going to have the type of talent that the Chiefs and the Eagles have to actually, and even the Bills, because that was before they all got injured on that side of the ball, you know, they don't have the talent to do some of the things we're talking about schematically. Now, they played the Jets and the Ravens down the stretch and the Cowboys, and I would think those are some teams that certainly have the talent and a defensive coordinator can think outside the box a little bit and slow this pace down. It'd be interesting to see as we go along here, because we are getting to the time of the year where teams start to catch on to tendencies and how people are used and start to realize, ooh, they attack this part of the field a lot more than that part of the field. Let's put more people there, and we'll see where it goes and see if Miami can make the adjustments.
As they say, you can't win the championship the first 9 weeks.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
Even the last 9 weeks, you got to just win the Super Bowl.
No, you
That's
can't.
the only way you can win the championship. Defensive Player of the Year. Let's take a look at the DraftKings Defensive Player of the Year odds as they sit right now. This one clearly looks like a 3-man race. We got Micah Parsons, the slight favorite right now, Myles Garrett just below him, and then T.J. Watt just below him. And then you got a group, my guy Aiden Hutchinson, plus 2,000, Maxx Crosby, Nick Bosa. Surprising to see him so far down the list, but he really hasn't popped.
No, hasn't popped.
Like he normally does
like
this year.
We usually see. Right, exactly.
His teammate Fred Warner is right there with him at plus 3,500, and then Chris Jones at plus 3,500.
Yeah.
First of all, what do you think of the odds?
I think in reality, the top 3 guys, the top 5 guys deserve to be there, really. You know, Maxx Crosby actually probably deserves more love, but the fact that he's not on a top-tier defense and wins, he probably should be up there closer to the T.J. Watt type of numbers as far as actual play on the field.
Can I say it right now?
Yeah, please.
He would be my Defensive Player of the Year right now. Because I'm looking at a lot of the numbers.
Right.
He leads. I'm looking at PFF right now. He leads all edge guys in pressures.
Yes, he does. Right.
And he plays a ton, you know, so he gets a lot of run. And I like that.
What's he do, like, when you look at him? Because I don't look at this type of stuff. Like, what's his run defensive stuff and there? Like,
on the PFF grade?
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Actually, they have him number 2 behind DeMarcus Lawrence this year.
All right.
As far as a run defender. And here's the thing that I love about Maxx Crosby. He has almost 600 snaps this year.
Yeah.
He has 594. The second most is Danielle Hunter with 527. Right. So he has like 70 more than the next closest guy.
Incredible.
So he plays all the time, plays at a high level. I love
Played
watching
every
him
snap
play.
of the game on Sunday. Every snap.
He played like 83 snaps against the Lions the week before. It's just like he would be my guy. And I get your point. Like, he's not on a winning team. Big, good defense, but I love the way he plays.
I mean, again, when you get into the pure aspect of value, it should be a more, or a lower number, as far as odds there. I tend, and if you made me pick one right now, right, and I got no problem with really, to me, the top 3 guys are a little bit in the class of their own. Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, and then, then there's Aiden Hutchinson, right? And like I said, I think Maxx Crosby should be closer to that T.J. Watt number at plus 200. I would go with Myles Garrett. He'd be the one I would look at right now. Myles Garrett, just week in and week out, has such a great effect on the football game. Not that I've watched every game they've played on film, but I think it's been 4 or 5 at least. To say, at least 4 or 5. And it's not only pressures on the quarterback, it's pressures in big moments, strip sacks in big moments, right? There's big tackles for losses in the run game in big moments. He's an absolute force in the run game. The blocked field goal and jumping over the pile against the Colts. To me, it's just like, not only is he always good, but I feel like this is a year where his level of play has gone to another level, especially in key moments of the football game. And I think that, and then you add on the fact that the Cleveland defense is doing some special things, and of course he's the best player on that defense. I would go with Myles Garrett.
I think he would be my favorite to win it too. Micah Parsons, although Nick Bosa won it last year, and I feel like, I don't know Pete said in my ear 3 sacks this year, and of course he wasn't there during all training camp. This doesn't seem like it's clicked.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. He's pressuring the court. Bosa's being really good. It's just not great. That's all I would say.
And then TJ Watt, I think, succumbs to the fact that we're just like over. Like, you get bored with some of these guys, right? Like, I think Patrick Mahomes won't get the love because, we can't give it to him every year.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's like TJ Watt won it in 2021, and they're like, and we gave it to your brother a couple times, too, like 3 times. It seems like the Watt name. It's like, we get that. You're having a good year. So I do think, this is Myles Garrett year, and he's only 27 years old still. That's crazy.
He's, no signs of falling off at all. In fact, really might be just starting to hit his prime, actually, when you just could put it all together as far as where his physical ability is, and then I think where his mental aspect of his game is at as well. I would say I feel like he changes game plans maybe more than the rest of these guys in the group right now. Micah's right up there with him as far as that, but when you watch Myles Garrett and that, and no matter who they're playing, teams are always, let's keep a tight end there, or let's have the tight end chip him before he goes out, running back chip him before he goes out.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can slide his way. It's always the attention is on him, and he always delivers. And being a great leader, and I think Jim Schwartz getting a little bit more out of him has made that whole defense, turn the corner and become great.
A former first overall pick. Now, finally, how many years has he been in the league here? I'm looking at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's been good, obviously, but might be the best that we've seen Myles Garrett here, 7 years in.
Yeah.
Time now. For some of the Homies Awards here.
I like this.
And someone suggested the Victory Lap Awards for the best prediction here. So before we get into it,
yeah, okay,
let's hear the song.
Smells like victory. Victory is mine! Victory!
Oh, man.
I love that song.
It's been a long time since we've heard that song.
I know. I love that song. I love the real NFL Films version of that song. It's a great one, yes.
And you love the reason we do it is because it's something that we predicted correctly,
it usually
or it's a
means
player we
Chris
like.
did something right, so let's publicize it.
So that is a feel-good song. And so, all right, looking around the NFL right now, if there's an evaluation or maybe even a team or anything, like something that you called or had a feeling about in the offseason, it's come to fruition, what would that be?
Well, okay. There's a few things. Again, I didn't get this job and get where I am, Matt, because I'm wrong all the time, okay? Yeah. I'd like to think that I'm right more than I'm wrong.
Yes, I agree.
One of the things I'm proud of, even though it hasn't been pretty, picking Pittsburgh to go to the playoffs, right? Picking Buffalo not to go to the playoffs as it stands right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen, all right? But I think by far, and this is an obvious answer because I feel like even on Football Night in America, is like half the weeks of the year I've talked about this player, C.J. Stroud. I can't not go there. Yeah, C.J. Stroud, what he has meant, to Houston and the level of play and the fact that, he was my number one quarterback. And, I raised the question earlier this week, have you ever seen a rookie quarterback play this good? I really don't know if we have. It's that special. So that would probably be the one I'm certainly the most proud of.
Der Buckner.
Oh, he could have fixed our German stuff for us.
That's true. He says the Chris Sims Man Crush Award, C.J. Stroud. So, yeah, that would apply as well.
Yes.
Malcolm Johnson says, love the pod, guys. Offensive Rookie Award, C.J. Stroud gets my vote. Does he get yours?
I don't think there's any doubt right now, right?
No one else, right? Maybe his teammate, which would be one of my victory laps, Tank Dell, for liking him, watching him out of Houston.
Sure.
Right? He went to Houston.
Yeah, he's Houston.
Houston.
University of Houston. He's still at Houston. That's right. I look at that. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that jumps to my mind.
Yeah, Puka Nacua.
Oh, those are definite guys.
Jordan Addison.
Sure,
Pete is rattling off some rookies in my ear.
I mean,
Jahmyr
those are
Gibbs,
all
maybe after last
awesome
week.
football players and all that. I didn't predict Puka Nacua to be, anything there as far as what he is. I didn't see that coming, so I can't take, credit for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else there. Hey, Zay Flowers, even though the stats aren't huge, the way he looks and everything like that, I mean, at least confirmed to me he's really dangerous, and I have no problem saying he was the best, rookie receiver. Jordan Addison certainly showing his ass and challenging that for sure. Yeah, Laporta for your Detroit Lions would be one of them. So those are a few that jumped at least to my mind there.
I think not that you don't usually, but I feel like you had a pretty good year in your draft evaluations this year.
We'll see. I think so far it's panned out to be looking pretty good. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, a lot of people had Bryce over C.J. Stroud, and so far it's trending in the direction that C.J. Stroud is the quarterback you'd like to have there. But draft evaluations are not made first 7 games into a season, 9 games into a season.
No, they are not.
They're made far into the future. Stroud is a -500 favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, so very, very heavy favorite to win that award. Orion Cheselwitt says to us the biggest L of the season so far award is the S2 test. So the S2 test takes a big L, because that was the test that C.J. Stroud struggled with. And I will say this, historically, and you brought this up on the podcast, like that test did indicate that if you did poorly on that test, there was a lot of players that did pretty bad in the NFL.
That's what the scary thing was, is just that from where they were at, right? If you got a high grade, it did not necessarily mean you were going to be a great football player. But to this point, and what I've heard from all my NFL friends, I will say this, is that, yes, with a low score, it had pretty much, I think, been foolproof that person had not been successful. So that's what scared people off of C.J. Stroud, And obviously, I'm glad this happens, because this shows that this test is not the end-all, be-all. And I know there's some other guys that teams and whatever have drafted, and they had these high scores, and I want to be like, well, he sucks. He got a high score, and he sucks on the football field. So I'm glad that high score made you draft him, right? So we'll see where this goes. But he's proven people wrong. We're going to talk about him later. He's blowing me away, and by far my new man crush in the NFL.
It is the worst of all tests, right? You ace it, people are like, that doesn't actually mean anything. You do bad on it, we're like, actually, that does mean something. It is the worst of all tests. I have said this all the time. No rookie should ever take that test again. There's zero reason to take that test. There's no reason for an agent to have your player take that test, and I hope they stop taking it at this point. Self-Scout Thyself award. So this is, you got to take your medicine, right? We give you the victory lap.
Right.
We'll give you the Self-Scout Thyself. What predictions or calls are you feeling bad about at this point?
I think the one that I feel worst about it, if I could have back more than anything else, would be the Packers winning the North. Okay? I kind of went out on a limb there.
You bet against my Detroit Lions.
I did. I went kind of maybe there's too much hype around Detroit. I don't know if they'll really be able to live up to it. The Packers, talented roster. There's going to be a chip on their shoulder. So they were the one where I kind of went outside the football evaluation and went a little bit gut with it a little bit. And also being a little bit of a believer than I should have been on Jordan Love, right? I think all that kind of ties hand in hand with the one I look at to go, oh, I was certainly wrong about that. I mean, again, I feel like if the Rams have Matthew Stafford last week, they're going to beat the Packers. It just feels that way. Again, I know that's a bold statement, whatever else, but yeah, certainly the one I feel most egregiously wrong about so far.
It's still early.
Yeah, it is
still early with Jordan Love. What do you think when you've watched him? It's just like there's been some good early on in the season for sure. You're like, oh wow, he really is going to step in and replace Aaron Rodgers here.
I think that's what bothers me is I feel like it's actually kind of gone the other way, right? It's instead of trending upwards or just plateauing a little bit, and then we're going upwards little by little. No, there was a 3 or 4 week stretch where you go, I don't know, this might be getting worse, really. And that's what I think scares me. And I still think the jury's out. I do. I don't look at it yet or didn't even see anything last week that sits there and goes, okay, I think he's got it, right? No, I definitely have to see more. They're obviously going to see more. I think the one thing that he could stand or be confident about is, since this was such a high-profile move, decision, draft pick, whatever you want to make, they're going to let him 9 lives. He's going to have 9 lives. He's going to get to finish out this season, I think, regardless, just because, hey, they got rid of Aaron Rodgers for him. They drafted him in the first round. They're going to give him every right to fail and fail again before they move on, and hopefully that doesn't happen and he can kind of fix things as we go here.
My biggest self-scout thyself is, which, by the way, before I get to that, in our playoff predictions contest, which you'll hear more about later this season as we see if the homies have to do some explaining on some of their predictions. 32% of the homies also thought the Packers would win the NFC North. So if you're listening out there and you know you're part of the crew there, you can feel this pain with Chris right now.
I'm feeling pretty good about, playoff predictions for the most part.
I think so,
too. For the most part, all in all.
I had Washington in there, and that's a little dicey at this point.
Yeah, it's
0-3 in the division, not great.
Yeah, that's all right. You got to take a shot with a team here and there. You can't go chalk for 14 teams, because there's always a few curveballs that get thrown out at us.
Here's my self-scout thyself.
Yeah.
I had the Giants not making the playoffs. I shouldn't have done that to you, because knowing the season that the Giants were about to have, you didn't need that. You didn't need that at the beginning of the year. And so that's my self-scout thyself.
Good.
Putting you in a bad mood before you needed to be put in a bad mood.
Thank you very much.
That's one of those in a job interview where it's like you do the, what are your weaknesses? I'm too honest. I work too hard sometimes.
Right.
That was my self-scout thyself. Were you going to add anything there at
the
end,
No, I don't think I'm trying to look to see if there's anything else that I feel like, that's probably the one. I can't remember. I was trying to think of any specific player, predictions I made or anything like that. I picked Mahomes to win the MVP.
Yeah.
As far as quality of play that you expect from an MVP type of quarterback, I don't think it's there right now. Now, like you talked about a minute ago, because he's the quarterback and they might get the number 1 seed, right? Maybe that still happens and all of that. And like you said, he's kind of making it happen with a group that I think is a little lackluster. But I don't feel necessarily comfortable about that prediction either.
Okay, let's go to something we feel a little more comfortable about. The damn okay song.
I'm okay.
I feel good about it.
Damn. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, yes.
I'm okay.
The legal gambleizing.
Oh, baby. I am Chris Sims. I'm okay. Damn.
Boom.
Okay.
Boom.
So these are all in the realm of head-turning players, guys who have popped this year, guys who are like, okay.
Yeah.
If you're new to the show, you look at the guy and you're like, oh, damn, okay. That was pretty good. I'm surprised. I think some of the homies suggested here the Are You Not Entertained award for the most entertaining player on a losing team. Oh, that was a good award. That homie did not give an answer, right? He just wanted to hear what Chris thought.
What we had to say, right.
Okay, so Are You Not Entertained award. So the most entertaining player on a losing team. Who would you pick for that?
Are you not entertained? All right, you know me. It's hard for me to just pick one. Here would be my one if I had to pick anybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and again, I like to go with guys that are a little under the radar. I mean, we know who the stars are and all that. I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, yes.
Okay? You talk about a guy that's leading the league in average yards per catch, right? He's one of the best big play receivers in all of football, all right? To me, he's the most dangerous receiver on the New Orleans Saints football team.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the damn okay guy. I mean, I understand there's other guys out there that, of course, are worthy of damn okay type of, things here. I get that.
Yeah.
But to me, he's the one that's the under the radar, not a household name that I look at, and on a weekly basis we go, holy shit, look at him return that kick, the punt, beat somebody deep down the field, whatever it is, a reverse, and he's a special entity that way. So he would be my number 1 pick. I got 2 other honorable mentions.
You kind of cheated a little bit. He's not on a losing team. In fact, they're leading their division right now, but he is totally under the radar, so I do appreciate that pick. You got another one.
Well, okay.
Or one that actually qualifies for the rules of this award.
So that was my damn okay player.
Oh,
they are
these
two separate awards.
Oh,
Can you read?
I jumped ahead.
Damn
oh,
okay.
Sorry.
My host can't read.
Oh, got it. There are two separate ones here.
You got
okay,
it?
so that was your damn okay. Okay, fine. All right.
Okay, I have other ones for the Are You Not Entertained? We have the damn okay, and
Got
then
it.
Are You Not Entertained is a whole different one.
My Scout Thyself was
Yeah,
this segment.
that segment.
This segment right here. This is this segment for me. I should have done better here. All right. So that's your damn okay. Oh, okay, under the radar.
You want me to throw you my two honorable mentions
Yes,
for damn
throw
okay
that.
while you're flustered and try to regain yourself here, regather
jacked up.
yourself?
Yes.
Puka Nakua, of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
How could you not,
I'm gonna
right?
take mine now. Yeah,
All right.
okay,
And
good.
then another one that, not that it's going to be new to anybody on this podcast, but I want people to know how awesome this player is, and that is Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter. I know he's a little banged up the last few weeks, probably not 100%, but Jalen Carter is one of the guys, we've sat here a few weeks where I've just gone, oh my gosh, Jalen Carter. Oh my gosh, Jalen Carter. He might be the best defensive tackle in football already.
Totally.
I mean, he's that type of player. I don't think he's quite getting that attention or being put in that realm, and I'm trying to sit here and tell you I do think he's that type of player.
We're still trying to figure out why I guess we know why he slipped in the draft,
Yeah.
but it seemed like you had talked to enough people and known enough people with Jalen Carter where they're like, I don't know. I'm still surprised
It's
he went
hard
ninth in
when
the
you're
draft.
the one that has to put your ass on the line to make a decision about a guy where you go, man, I've heard a few stories that are not that good, and this is a game-changing, life-changing decision for our organization. Do I really want to do that?
Yep.
There's some other guys here that I like, maybe not as much as a player, but I trust them more off the field or whatever else. I'm going to go with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard when your ass is on the line and you got to make those picks.
So we have a couple numbers here. Jalen Carter is a favorite, odds-on favorite, minus 200 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Devin Witherspoon, not too far behind. He's plus 200. He's had some big plays there too. All right, my damn okay. I'm all jacked up.
You're all
right
screwed
now.
up. You want to just go to the Are You Entertained one where you
Yeah.
actually have one?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
you confuse these,
I
all
thought
right?
about, all right, are you entertained? The most entertaining player on a losing team, which I previewed moments ago.
Yes.
Who's your one for this?
All right. Well, we brought this guy up already, so I don't want to make this my main guy. But Maxx Crosby is the first one that comes to mind, right? I mean, they're 4-5, and like you just said, he is in the defensive MVP conversation.
Yep.
All right, but more importantly, I'm going to go with somebody even more on a losing team. DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I think everybody got to see in that little period of when Justin Fields, right before he got hurt and everything there, how special DJ Moore is. And now right now it's not quite the same, and you got a rookie quarterback, and they got the training wheels on a little bit and all that. But DJ Moore is the guy I look at to go, like, he's one of the best receivers on football, and here he is for the second time in his life, stuck in a pretty bad situation where the team can't even accentuate or show us all his talents because they're not good enough to support him and let it all show. So I'll go with him.
I'm going to go with the same one that Evan Edmonston went with. Most Entertaining Player Award, period, for him is Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good he is, but he sure is a blast to watch. He takes a lot of sacks, so
He
that's kind
does.
of exciting for if you're watching against him in your defense.
Because sometimes he breaks those tackles and throws a 20-yard completion, and it is fun to watch.
But he just seems to process pretty well. He seems to know where to throw the ball, anticipate really well. He's got a lot of good weapons over there. I enjoy watching him to the point where I'm like, man, if he was on a really, really good system, which I'm not totally sure he's not in a good environment for a quarterback, I was like, I think he'd be in the top 10-ish potentially in his career quarterback. I don't know. I think he has that talent.
He's got his high-end talents. It is real. His ability to throw the ball down the field and make explosive plays with his arm and hang in the pocket with people around him and make big plays, it's damn good. It is towards the top of football in that department, right? It is holding the ball too long at times, not knowing where to throw it away, not patting the ball 2 extra times, going, wait, he's not going to come open. He's covered. There's 2 guys on him. Check the ball down, and let's get to 2nd and 5 instead of being in 2nd and 25 because now you took a 15-yard sack, patting the ball 17 times, waiting for Terry McLaurin to get open, right? But that's part of the fun. To your point, that's why you're entertained by it, And he is always looking for the big shot. If there was a part of his game that needs to get better, it's the short passing game. It's the intermediate passing game. It's kind of a long, deliberate release. And we've talked about this with other quarterbacks, and think about it when you talk about with Sam Howell here, right? he doesn't really do sidearm or anything like that. So short game, shallow 3-step drop or shallow crosses or things like that. That to me, because he's so robotical and over the top with his motion, is one of the areas that he's got to work on this offseason and working about, hey, let me find a lane here. Let me flick it with my wrist instead of having to go through this huge windup every time. And this shouldn't be a huge fix. He should be able to do it. But I don't disagree with you that he's fun to watch and exciting every week.
They should do that. He should get together with Jalen Hurts, and they just off season they're just throwing off platform sidearm. It's like this whole off season, do not throw the ball over your head.
There's 4 or 5 completions in every game where you look at the great quarterbacks and go, wow, that's unbelievable. He threw it sidearm and got that done there. And you see other quarterbacks who don't have that, where one, they might not even attempt it, or two, it ends up getting batted down or whatever else because people see it coming and they can't flick it or just sidearm it and get it out of their hand that way.
Sammy Lambert says, bad but fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Colts, he said, putting up points on good defenses. So 6 of the Colts' 9 games have gone over the over-under total. It's tied with the Bears for the highest percentage this season. I would agree. I didn't know how
100%.
Well, here's the thing. If you told me the Colts are going to be exciting this year, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense because Anthony Richardson's going to be super fun to watch.
Right.
He hasn't played hardly at all, and he's out for the rest of the year. And they're still exciting to watch with a coach that I know you think is a rising star in the game.
That, to me, is what it is, right? It's Shane Steichen. Again, they're doing this with, one, they didn't have Jonathan Taylor for 5 or 6 weeks, right? And then 2, without a star receiver, right? I mean, Michael Pittman Jr., I played with his dad, ultimate respect, really awesome NFL starting receiver, not a number 1 superstar receiver. In your perfect world, you want Michael Pittman Jr. to be your number 2, right? So they're doing it without a game breaker at that position. Him and Alec Pierce are both like, Pittman a little bit better, certainly, but the same guy, kind of like can do everything you want at a receiver position, but not necessarily going to beat you deep for a 70-yard bomb or catch a slant and break a tackle and go for 70 yards that way. They're kind of total, complete receivers. They block in the run game. They're good route runners. They're tough over the middle. They can beat you deep, but it's not how they're going to make their money on a consistent basis, right? All of that. They're well-rounded, and that, to me, the point you made is the point. Shane Steichen, why they're exciting is because he comes up with plays and game plans that are, outside the box, and it leads to exciting plays on the offensive side of the ball.
And I'm not totally sure they can't be a playoff team or in that conversation.
They're not out of it yet.
They're 4-5 right now.
I know. They're 4-5. I mean, the last spot there, what they got to hope is that, to me, like teams like that, they got to hope Cincinnati just continues to win, get them out of the picture. And they need to hope that like Cincinnati and Baltimore beat up on Pittsburgh and Cleveland and knock those teams down to where now maybe they have a fighting chance to jump into this. So the disappointing thing with the Colts has been their defense this year. Their defense has been bad. Right? If their defense played to the capacity it did last year or the year before with this offense, I would go, ooh, they're dangerous. But their defense letting up a lot of big plays, certainly not the same. And we'll see where this goes. But yeah, they're going to be a pain in the ass because they're a team that they can lose to the teams they're supposed to beat, but they can also beat the teams that they're not supposed to beat, aka having Cleveland, in big trouble, right? Or beating Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. So that's where, they're a juggernaut that way.
I love this next award.
Yeah.
Thanks to 11 Jordan Cole. He goes, the Cheeks to Freaks Award. So this is someone who was cheeks.
So
booty cheeks.
I guess that's what they were saying. I know at first I was like, what? I don't get a cheek. And I was like, oh, ass. Yeah. They were ass, and now they're awesome.
And that's a little harsh. Maybe they just improved.
Ass to awesome award.
I don't want to say that any of these people were that, but they've improved, and now they're popping. And maybe in the past year, like you just thought they were a guy, and now they're a guy.
Yeah.
He suggests Alex Anzalone from my Detroit Lions.
I hear you there. I hear you there. You heard me. We did a breakdown last year at one point when Detroit played the Carolina Panthers, and remember the Carolina Panthers ran for all those yards, and I remember I came back and I was like, it wasn't the D tackles' faults. Yeah. It wasn't their fault. I said the D ends and the linebackers really messed up a lot of plays, right? Alex Anzalone last year did struggle. That's a very good one by our at 11 Jordan Cole. So I like that. That's what we're looking for. There's a few here that I look at. I think if I was just going to take one, okay, and I saw Pete put this in the doc or early yesterday, but I agree with it, and I'm going to piggyback off it, is Quincy Williams. Quincy Williams, Quinnen Williams' brother, linebacker for the New York Jets. I mean, the Jets were brilliant in signing him to a 3-year, $18 million deal because you could kind of see it last year at the end of the year start to go, this guy is everywhere. And it's only continued this year. I mean, he is definitely one of the best linebackers in football. Like, one of the best in football. And the speed, the explosiveness, and then the instincts on top of that, I think if you're going to make me pick one guy that kind of came out of nowhere to where I go, no, now he's one of the best at his position in all of football, Quincy Williams would get my award. All right? Another guy I'd love to give love to, Josh Sweat of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Eagles got so many damn good players. We usually don't mention him. You know, we go to, Darius Slay and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick. And then you get to Josh Sweat. And Josh Sweat's really probably having the best year of all of them as far as rushing the passer, right? So that's one that I certainly would love to give a little love to there. And then one more I'll throw on is Kayvon Thibodeau.
Whoa.
Right? He's been better than I ever expected this year. It's not perfect. His sacks are inflated. All right. A lot of his, not a lot of them, but there's a good amount that, of course, with Wink Martindale and how creative he is, he sets Kayvon Thibodeau up for success. But Thibodeau in the run game plays hard. And, at the end of the day, it still is 8.5 sacks, and he is around the quarterback and had some big plays and some big moments to where he's played better than I would have thought he did. And so I'll say that.
Which is interesting because Pete noted that PFF is actually down on him this year. And so you could have taken a victory lap if you so chose. But this is how complicated. This is how complicated you are.
And I think it's hard with the Giants' defense at times because they're so crazy and exotic to know all the rules in which they're doing at times. And I think that's where you got to be careful a little with some of these grading these defensive guys, especially in a defense like Winks, where there's a lot of moving parts, and we look at it and we go, oh, he should be setting the edge, but they might have a call where, no, you shoot inside and somebody else is responsible for the edge, whatever that may be. Is it 5th pick of the draft good? No, it's still not that, but it's better than I thought. That's what I'll say.
Let me throw a guy who wasn't Cheeks,
right?
But I think he wasn't necessarily living up to the hype that we thought he could be, especially in the environment he was in.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver from the 49ers.
Right.
I feel like there's times this year where you watch him and you go, wow, if you have a decision, if you can't pay both of them or have both of them on your team, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, you might be able to get by with just Brandon Ayuk. And I don't know if I would have said that a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you're as high on him as I might be, but it seems like at times he's like, that could be a number 1 receiver in the league.
I don't disagree with you there. I don't. I'll be interested to see if they can keep him. Because not that I think he'll get top of the market money at the wide receiver position, but he's going to get that, next group down of the guys that are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on their list. It's going to be in that category. And, again, how many guys can you pay top 5 or top 6 in football at your position on one football team? They got quite a few already in San Francisco.
Right.
So, but yeah, play's been good. I think it's his best year of his career so far, motivated by the contract. The fact that they've had a focus on him a little bit because Debo's been out, I think has only helped him as well. And he's got a quarterback who could push the ball down the field, and it fits him a little bit more than maybe, the other guys with Jimmy Garoppolo and other quarterbacks. He doesn't throw the ball down the field. We talked about that. So Debo over the middle, everything was for that.
And outside, right?
Yes,
they were not showing outside the numbers.
And Purdy's willing to throw the ball down the field and outside the numbers, and that, suits Brandon Ayuk a lot more and fits his game that way.
Cool. All right, let's go to the real awards. Who's real out there? And we do like to do this, like the teams that have a real chance at winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
This is more of a discussion, Pete notes here, than an award. So if you go, this is not an award, so this shouldn't be in this section, we know that.
Yeah.
All right? So don't email us. As Nick Saban would say, quit asking about it. So let's go through the teams here. Pull up the teams. Like, who do you think has a real shot?
I got a little feel for this already
because
I always think about this a little, because this is something we've done throughout the years, you and I working together. right? Teams that you look at and go, okay, like I know they can get in the playoffs and all of that, but can they actually go to the Super Bowl?
Yep.
That's a whole different level of a team as compared to, oh, we snuck in the wild card, right? Last year, the Giants snuck in the wild card. They played a team that was a Super Bowl team, and they didn't even look like they belonged on the same field as them, right? And that goes with the Vikings, who we did say last year
Correct.
are not a team that can win the Super Bowl, even if they are 13-4, right? And they didn't even look like they should be on the same field with the Giants, who couldn't even be on the same field as the Eagles. So that's where we're talking about this. This is where it's fun. And the AFC, there's 7 teams in the playoffs right now. I'm going to say 6 of them can go to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's a high number for me. I'm usually like, okay? I'm going to look at out of the 7 teams.
I know the team that you
know it. It's Kansas City, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati.
So Pittsburgh can't.
Pittsburgh can't go to the Super Bowl. There's no way.
You think any of those other teams could?
I think the other teams, now I would say Kansas City, Baltimore, Jacksonville, and Cincinnati are clearly my 4 top ones there, right? Mm-hmm. Miami, I'm a little skeptical about, but still, there's still too much talent on that team for me to go, right? And I still think they're getting used to the Vic Fangio system on D, so there's still that little adjustment there. Jalen Ramsey just getting back healthy, all that. And then even Cleveland, where I'm putting at the bottom of this a little bit, but I still, if with that defense, and if we're sitting here 4 weeks from now starting to go, man, Deshaun Watson is kind of lighting it up every week, I'm going to go, yeah, they're can win the Super Bowl, right? So I can't cancel them out. Yep. I can't. And Watson's shown us little glimmers of him maybe being the Deshaun Watson we remember, and that could come here soon, especially if he can just stay on the field and stay healthy. So that would be the ones I would say in the AFC. You got any other disagreement with me there?
I really don't. So you would say that all the non-playoff teams right now, you'd be very, very surprised, if not downright shocked, if they made the Super Bowl, and that includes currently, at the moment, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I would be shocked. I would be shocked. Can Buffalo get to the playoffs? Of course. Can Buffalo win a playoff game? Sure. But I don't think it's going to go much farther than that. I think it would have to be, for them to win 2 playoff games, I think something would have to happen. Some sort of upset, somebody gets injured for a team they're about to play that really balances things out into their favor or whatever else. So, yeah, I don't. And you know me, I'm a guy that in a lot of years has looked at these type of things and going, hey, this team that's number 10 or number 7 or 8 on the list, they could still go to the Super Bowl and do that. I just don't see it this year. I think we kind of know what we know. This is a different year. I don't think there's going to be like dark horses that come out of nowhere late in the year like we've seen in some other seasons.
All right, over to the NFC.
Yeah.
You got the Detroit Lions you put in automatically. Mm-hmm. Got to believe in them now.
I do. The NFC, it's not a whole lot different from what we just talked about with the AFC. Okay, the 49ers and the Eagles, clearly. The Detroit Lions, yes, of course putting them in that conversation. The Dallas Cowboys are in that conversation.
Yeah.
So it's those 4 for sure. For sure. The only one I teeter about a little bit is the Seattle Seahawks, right? I mean, if you made me bet money, I'd go, I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. No. But I'm not willing to come out here and not put them on the list as of right now. I'm not. There's just too many good freaking players on the team that they scare me, all right? And they are a team that defensively usually gets better as the year goes along. And then I want to see, the offensive line get healthy, see where that goes before I make this final judgment. But I am definitely worried about Seattle in that conversation, especially with the way the offense has looked at times, like we've talked about many a times on Sunday nights. They're too good to have these stagnant games or periods of the game where you go, damn, it's 2 quarters. They haven't done shit on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
That can't go on, so I am a little worried in that aspect.
New Orleans and Minnesota, both playoff teams currently, but it's so funny with Minnesota, though. 5-4, you talked about them already.
Amazing.
It's just like I feel like you have way more respect for them this year than you did last year.
I do. I really do. Like I said, I think if you take away their disease of fumbles early on in the year, we're looking at a team that's probably like 7-2, 6-3 at the worst, really. And the offense, I think, with Kirk Cousins was functioning at the highest level we'd ever seen it. It was better than last year, actually, consistently through games. And then the defense has definitely given them a fighting chance. And let's not forget, that second week of the year, they were toe-to-toe with Philadelphia there for a while.
Yeah.
They kind of messed it up. with a number of penalties, fumbles, whatever else. And but yeah, I'm not willing to say Super Bowl's in their future.
All right, let's look at a couple of graphics here that kind of tell the story. So last year at this time, through Week 9, here were the records of the teams who eventually made the playoffs. This is really informative because there were only 2 with a losing record, which may be more than you would even think at this point. The Jaguars were 3-6, of course, helped a little bit by the division there. They get into the playoffs and win
they
a
got
game.
hot at the end of the year, right?
Buccaneers were 4-5. They get into the playoffs, but again, that's the division. So for the most part, unless you're in a crap division, you better have a winning record at this point. The 49ers were 4-4 and then started playing a whole lot better after that and getting a whole lot more wins. But a lot of 6-2s, 7-1s, 6-3s, 8-0. You got to be good at this point. It's starting to become clear.
That's where I think it is, and that's why I think it was good we just did that exercise. I think it is clear, and I think this is a year where I look at it and go, I don't see that team this year. I don't see that team that's like Jacksonville. We were saying it last year, right? I mean, I was saying it early on in the year. I kept picking them to win. They kept losing. I was going, man, I guess I'm going to be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But, they were a team, and even Cincinnati the year before that, where we prefaced it before they went on their run to go, we see things about their team that are elite and that they can mess with the big boys a little bit and really make some waves and maybe disrupt the whole playoff system. And looked at them and went, I don't see a lot of flaws with their football team or anywhere you can go, ooh, they're really at a disadvantage there. So I kind of saw that coming with Jacksonville a little last year or Cincinnati the year before. I don't see anybody really in that category this year. The only one that I kind of look at, right, I just would go dark horse all right, is the Atlanta Falcons. They're sitting there at 4-5.
Yeah.
Right? Their O-line has not played up to its potential this year yet. The running game hasn't going the way it is. I think some of that is the quarterback play like we've talked about. But with that defense, and then if the offense can get going, they are the one team that I think I look at in all of this to go, okay, they got a losing record, but I could see them still getting in the playoffs and maybe getting the playoffs and being really a pain in the butt once they get in there, but not a Super Bowl team.
Tennessee at 3-5. Will Levis there now. Mike Vrabel figures out a way. They pull off a Steelers type, end of the season.
That's how they would do, right? They're scary that way. I'm not willing to put them there, but I totally hear your point there all the way.
DraftKings gives us our Leaderhouse Awards. I love these awards.
I love it.
This is going to be a long podcast.
The Leaderhouse Awards.
So let's spend some time talking about the DraftKings favorite to win each division. So a shock to maybe no one out there who has been watching the Lions all season long and watching the rest of the division struggle, although the Vikings playing better lately. They are the favorite of all favorites to win their division, minus 1,100 to win their division. The Chiefs are minus 900 to win their division. The Eagles are minus 550 to win their division. So this speaks to both the quality of the team that we're talking about and the quality of every other team in their division. But the Lions are the most likely division winner. This is a crazy year. I knew 2023 was going to be weird. I didn't anticipate it being this weird.
Well, I think the top 3 are all, to me, safe bets. I do. I think the one I look at to go, I think it should be up there a little bit more, is the Jaguars. The Jaguars would be the other one if you're looking for more of like a value bet or whatever. That would be the one I would look at.
I agree with that because I guess maybe they have some faith in Houston or Indianapolis.
I'm guessing that's what it is a little bit.
Houston did beat them.
Houston beat them in Jacksonville, so I get that.
I just made the case for Tennessee, but
but I look at it, I still think the Lions are the team I would probably look at to be the team that I would most likely bet on there. You can't trust anybody, from the AFC North. That's too damn good of a conference. The AFC East is getting there, but I still can't just say, the Dolphins over the Bills for sure, right? I mean, I got to see the Dolphins beat some quality teams first before I say that's going to happen. So I really kind of look and like that top 4 for sure. I think those are the ones. I just think the Jaguars are a little more underrated in this than they should be.
Yeah, I agree. The top 3, I mean, no one's catching the Chiefs out in the West.
And I don't
either.
expect Dallas to catch the Eagles. I know there's more of a chance of that happening because Dallas is really talented. Philly's got some tough games on the horizon, but I still expect them to win the division.
Don't forget, on DraftKings Sportsbook this season, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day.
Download the app and use the promo code Unbuttoned when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
It's like we kind of did some inflection that time, which made it even better. So Coach of the Year, and my guy, according to DraftKings right now, Dan Campbell. So if they win the division, which they are the most likely division winner, as we just said, I think it's a slam dunk. I honestly think the Detroit Lions winning the division, which that hasn't happened, I don't know, since the 90s, I honestly think he should be more of a favorite.
Yeah, well, I think he is the favorite. I do. Detroit, the story, right? There actually was expectations. They're delivering. I think all of those, I think he's the guy to look at there for sure.
I think it's plus 180, so you're still getting some. I mean, I don't gamble, as you know. I'm not a gambler.
Yeah.
But this is one where I feel like, because Pete said in my ear, it's like they were expected to win. And oftentimes this award goes to the team that makes a huge jump that wasn't expected to.
I know.
But I think the story of the Lions for so long.
I think that's what that plays into this.
Yeah.
Right. He is part of the reason they are expected. He is the main reason had the expectations going into the year anyways. He kind of flipped things around last year, right, and got it going that way. And so that's where, I think it's worthy. I know they had the expectations of that already. I get it. I know what Pete's saying there too. But to deliver and show yourself for most weeks of being one of the better teams in the NFC, I think he is worthy of that. To me, the next one, Mike McDaniel is the other one that I wrote down on my thing. I know they haven't beat great teams, but we're still seeing revolutionary things on the offensive side of the ball from Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. They are still 6-3, and they're got the leading quarterback in football, the leading offense in football, the most big plays. I mean, you go through just about every statistical thing in football on the offensive side of the ball, the Miami Dolphins are leading at, and Mike McDaniel's the one calling the plays and orchestrating all of it. So I have a hard time thinking why he's not a little bit higher up in the odds or a little closer in all of this. He would be that. Those two to me are clearly the favorite right now.
I do think DeMeco Ryans the third choice right now. They're 4-4.
Yeah.
If C.J. Stroud continues this upward trajectory and they somehow win that division and look like a solid playoff team.
If they can win the division, that'll make me think a whole different thing.
Agreed.
I don't think you get Coach of the Year for going they were better than we thought. They went 8-9. That to me does not merit Coach of the Year status, and merits a good pat on the back and everybody telling you how damn good you are, but not Coach of the Year.
Pete makes a good point about Kevin O'Connell, perhaps, if they can somehow win the division. So still yet to be determined there. The Ahmed's Red. Wait, this is from Ahmed's Red Pants. There's a Twitter out there that's called Ahmed's Red Pants.
Yes, there is.
Homie, for sure. We love you. The How the F Do We Have a Winning Record award goes to Mike Tomlin. And that's really the travesty of this whole thing, because you know how much I like Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
And I think it's outrageous that he has never won a Coach of the Year award. And if he gets him in the playoffs this year, even I will be the one that's like, no, still it's Dan Campbell's award.
It's pretty crazy. It really is, actually, when you think about it. He's been there that long, never had a losing record, been to the Super Bowl twice, won it once, and has never won Coach of the Year. In fact, it doesn't even feel like he's even come close. That's what's weird.
I know.
But doing an awesome job. The problem with that is that they're winning because of his culture and his toughness and everything he instills on the defense. They're also pain to watch because he hired the offensive coordinator and this is the guy he believes in. So that's a major problem. And half the Steelers fan base thinks he's the greatest thing ever because they keep winning this way. The other half wants him fired because he hired Matt Canada. So it's kind of crazy.
All right, we got to get to the film review here in a second. So let's rip through a couple of these other awards here that I think are interesting. The Top Pick Power Ranking Awards. We used to do that. Who was in the Leaderhouse to get the number one pick here and get perhaps Caleb Williams or Drake May, who I think is going to get a lot of love maybe as we get closer to the draft season. Kyle Vert 53 calls this the How About the Damn Not Okay award and give that to the Giants, who right now have the fourth worst record and would have the number 4 pick in the draft right now. The Bears would have number 2 and 3 via their trade with Carolina last year. The Cardinals would have that number 1 pick right now, although that could change if Kyler Murray plays and starts balling out.
Yeah, this is still something I'm kind of trying to digest. I don't have any great answers for you here. I think there's just a lot of info to still be gathered here in this total conversation. I think that's where it becomes hard. Cardinals, yeah, I think the Kyler Murray thing, where it goes, all that, how he looks, how do they like him, how does he digest their new offense, how does he work with the pieces they have there and how they see the vision of that offense looking. I think that's still yet to be, heard, told, whatever here. So I'd like to see where that goes here, right? I'm not ready to sit here quite yet and go, oh, they're definitely going to pick quarterback one. I'm not ready, And of course Kyler Murray's play and what he does in the football field doesn't have a lot to say. The Chicago Bears have picked 2 and 3. I think it's another one where I'm not ready to sit here to say you definitely should do quarterback. I mean, man, that's where it stinks that Justin Fields got hurt. It kind of seemed like he was starting to show us like, hey, I'm turning the corner. Look at how I'm throwing the ball and making plays in the pocket here. So that's one where, as a analyst, it's hard to get a feel for. That's one where, how do they feel about him in the building? How do they feel about, his ability to handle all the offenses and make all the throws we know you need to make and do it on a consistent basis? How do they feel about that? And then you look at the Giants and you go, well, they got Daniel Jones next year, whether they like it or not. They can't get rid of him. Now, the day of him being maybe just, hey, you're the starter, here's the red carpet, I think that's probably done. I think they're probably going to even bring in another backup that's going to challenge him or at least be a big insurance policy because injuries have crept up on this guy here the last few years. So that's where it's really going to be a great conversation the last part of the season here to kind of figure out and let this quarterback thing kind of filter out to see what direction it all goes.
Pete just wants to hear these words.
Yeah.
The Giants select Caleb Williams with the number 1 pick in the draft.
That could be a possibility, and I think the Giants fans probably are intrigued by that possibility, even though I don't think they should give up quite as easily on Daniel Jones as maybe they want to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes. I will say, out of this list and what we looked at here, teams that most desperately need a top 2 pick or a big-time quarterback, to me, the ones I look at on this list, if you're watching on our YouTube page, is number 6, the Rams, okay? And and depending where it goes, maybe the number 8 Buccaneers. And it's not really necessarily an indictment on Baker Mayfield. It's just where I feel like their teams are going in general.
Yeah.
The Rams, Matthew Stafford's still really good. They're just young and still kind of like in a rebuilding process. They're going to continue to get younger. And do you want an older, veteran, beat-up type quarterback leading that group into the future? Or would you rather maybe get some trade compensation for him and then start building a young nucleus around your young quarterback who you draft? Those are things that I think of there. And kind of the same thing with the Bucs. The Bucs, the Mike Evans, the Chris Godwin, all of that. I think the shelf life of that offense is kind of coming to an end here to where I could see them going, wait, we'll keep Baker Mayfield and get younger on offense, or they could just go, let's just blow it up. Baker can go be a starter somewhere else, a bridge quarterback, or maybe a solidified starter, and we can just start over all the way new, blank canvas, and start to formulate a new young core group of guys on the offensive side of the ball there too.
This is going to be a pretty fascinating draft.
Yes, I know. Between all the quarterbacks, some of these questions we have is very interesting.
Some good high skill players. Right. Yeah, it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. for Ohio State. It's going to be a good year. Yeah, potentially that the Bears get.
Why is Michael Penix Jr.
guys
not thrown into this a little bit more? As far as I feel like, again, not that I'm all in on college football every Saturday, but I feel like it's just always Caleb Williams and Drake May from whoever I watch.
Yeah, I think the age thing
he's 25.
Age and
injury
he and Bo
is hurting
Nix,
him?
maybe a little bit, but I don't know. It's going to be fun. It's a tease for our March podcast. Subscribe right now. Leave a comment if you would. Let's go fast through these. Other Homies awards that they gave us, creative awards that we liked. Andy McDonald said the I'm glad I called that guy award from Billy Madison. That's a line from Billy Madison.
Oh, I know.
I'm assuming.
I'm glad I called that guy.
Okay.
Right.
Antonio Pierce for the Raiders, who seems to have instantly changed the culture and the attitude and the results on the field, too.
Yep.
Ooh, how would you say this next name here?
At Eisen Lucid DU1.
Exactly. 0 actual championship hopes despite impressively legit Super Bowl offseason nomination, the New York Jets.
Yes, that sounds like a bitter Jets fans. Welcome to the podcast.
Although I do think, like, in this alternate reality where Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt, there is I don't know, I would put it at a likely chance, over 50% chance. There's a lot of similar struggles on that offense.
Agreed. I don't, would they be better? Of course they would be. I feel like people think that they'd be like a top 10 offense if Aaron Rodgers in there. And I want to go, absolutely not. No. You have one receiver who can separate in Garrett Wilson. And then you have an offensive line that is definitely in the bottom quarter of football. And that is not conducive to a quarterback who does not want to hold the ball and wait for people to come open downfield the last 3 seasons. And now you think he's going to do it in this game with this team? Absolutely not.
Mehmet 305 says the one swallow does not make a summer award goes to Geno Smith. He's struggling really bad so far and after having a great season last year.
Yeah, he definitely is. His stretch run here is going to be very interesting. In fact, I feel like we might be getting to the point too, if he doesn't start playing better and the offense doesn't start playing better, and if he has a bad 2 or 3 games in a row, he might the Drew Lock conversation might start. So he's certainly got to pick it up a little.
And Cheese Curd 19 says the rudderless award for the offense or defense that's drifting around without a good plan. I nominate the Packers offense.
Yeah, I would say so. And then that goes back to the quarterback conversation like we talked about. They got such training wheels on him that it is hurting the rest of the offense. And then I think the injuries at running back and the O-line being banged up also added to that conversation.
Yeah.
Right? So that hurt them. The Raiders offense is certainly one that you could throw in there with that. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is another one you could throw in there with that same rudderless approach. Defensively, you can get into the Bucks and the Chargers and some of those teams that certainly seem like they've lost their way a little bit on that side of the ball. So there's a few out there.
Magnet 24 QB says, who wins the Ahmed's Red Pants Award for the best rookie big butt so far? Great segue. Let's hit the song.
Boom. Woo!
It is that time.
Big butts and we cannot lie.
The big butt of the week.
Oh.
Time to give some love to these big guys.
Some tushes.
There's a couple sacks, forced fumble.
He's a butting superstar. Woo! Give it to him, Ahmed.
One butt cheek.
And this is why you're the big butt expert of the world right now.
So I will go with Jalen Carter for my rookie defensive tackle big butt, as we've talked about him previously in the podcast. For that discussion. Rewind. On the edge, I might have to go with Will Anderson with what he's done on the edge for Houston.
Out of the rookies,
Out of the rookies,
right.
Out of the rookies so far.
Yeah.
He's been a surprise. He's been a surprise
fair
to
us.
Say. Yes.
I think he's been the best edge player. None of the other rookie first rounders, as far as edge guys, nobody's played to his capabilities yet. Nobody has. I don't think Tyree Wilson for Texas, from Texas Tech or the Raiders.
He's coming on a little bit.
He's coming on.
He's finally
just finally getting healthy.
He could end the season there.
There was a few plays from the other night that I looked at and I went, ooh, that was the guy I remembered on film there. I saw him get off the ball, turn the corner a few times, so maybe that's happened. But, I think that you're picking the right guy as far as edge guys for sure.
Byron Young for the Rams has played a ton.
Really damn good. The kid Derek Hall for the Seattle Seahawks has his moments every game. Keon White with the Patriots early on was popping a lot. But I think you're right in Will Anderson. They got something going there.
But for this week, Defensive Tackle Big Butt of the Week award for week number 9. I'm going with the Colts' DeForest Buckner. 5 pressures, had a sack, a quarterback hit, led all defensive tackles with 2 batted passes. And most of the game, he did it while being double-teamed.
Yeah.
He had a monster game versus Carolina.
He unfortunately right now is the only guy that is popping, back to our Colts being a little disappointing on that side of the ball, on their front 7 on a consistent basis. No matter what game it is, and when I've watched the Colts on film this year, he is the one guy that stands out. Darius Leonard, don't hear much about him. Doesn't look like the same guy ever since he got back from the back injury. And, there's nobody else that's a difference maker that makes you game plan for anything on the Colts D-line, so that's why he's facing all those damn double teams.
At the edge, I'm going with the Steelers. Alex Highsmith led all edge with 10 pressures, according to PFF. He just destroyed Andre Dillard for Tennessee the entire game.
Yes, he did.
It's his 7th game with at least 7 pressures this year. That is tied with Micah Parsons for most in the NFL.
Damn, that's impressive.
Consistent this
he
year.
is. He's a consistent game wrecker, physical presence. I mean, again, the Steelers, their ability to find edge defenders and wide receivers is second to none. Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's amazing. And, this is a guy that, they saw pieces or the ability to mold him into something that they felt like, ooh, we can make him a difference maker. And it's just every year, it's just been better and better. And last year you started to go, whoa, this is like truly like you becoming a guy that you got to think about in your game plan now. You can't just go, oh, the other guy opposite of TJ Watt. It's like, no, the other guy opposite TJ Watt can ruin your game just like TJ Watt can almost. So you better be careful there. They got a great pass rushing duo there in Pittsburgh.
So there it is, DeForest Buckner and Alex Highsmith. Week 9, Kristen has given us the butts for both of these fine young gentlemen. And now we go into the film review.
Into the notes.
What the F happened, a.k.a. Treasure Hunters. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Chiefs defense versus the Dolphins offense.
Offense? You're from England.
That's exactly, right? It was appropriate. It was a mess-up that actually worked out. It was a 1-touchdown game, but for most of the game, the Dolphins could get nothing going offensively here. So we start out with the most basic question. From your deep dive into the film study, how did the Chiefs slow down the greatest show on English turf?
All right, so let me dive into like my thesis statement, right? Basically, okay? And here what I would say. And I put on you're going to see a few videos on social media today too. Dominate the line of scrimmage, dominate the edge, great mixture of coverages and fronts, played 2 deep coverages for the most part, but not the whole game, right? And different 2 deep coverages. That's why I say, it's not just like, Tampa 2. It's different versions of things. Tactical when playing man coverage, and the Chiefs were good when they did play man, and then, of course, the tactical blitzing on 1st and 2nd down that you hear me talk about with Spags or any team that plays these great offenses, you got to be willing to do it. They have incredible depth, talent, and team speed. They won 1st and 2nd down throughout the day, and then Dolphins and Tua, as we've talked about too, can you get them to 3rd down? And that's where it was important that the Chiefs won 1st and 2nd down because they got the the Dolphins to 3rd down. And people go, and I've had a few people go, well, what's that matter? Well, because 3rd down, you don't have to worry about the run game, reverses, some of the screen passes, all that goes out the door, especially if it's 3rd and 5 or plus. So now you can go, let's just play pass coverage and mess with the protections and Tua's mind and reading the coverages and all of that. And I think that's where they were really good.
Let's show that. Because I think that's a very interesting graphic. So Miami is top 3 in almost every offensive category.
Right.
They're just like lights out. But they are 17th in 3rd down conversion rate this year at 39.6%.
Yes.
Miami had 1 3rd and short all game long. They just had 1 all game long, and so they struggled again in that category. So that's interesting. A key is 1st and 2nd down.
Because you get them to 3rd down, Tua's not a strong-arm quarterback that's always going to be like, hey, everybody knows I'm passing, so I'm going to throw a laser in a tight window, right? That's the first thing. 2, they don't have good pass protection, so therefore you feel like, we could collapse the pocket. And 3, Tua's not the best, I'm going to stand in the pocket with the pocket collapsing type of quarterback anyways, let alone, like you said, you don't have to worry about some of the McDaniels tricks. And to me, that was the other part of my thesis statement was don't let the McDaniels special beat you, right? Some of the screens and creative plays that he comes up with. In this game, the only thing that was kind of off the charts creative or whatever that worked for them was a few reverses. Other than that, they couldn't find some of those cheap ways to get explosive plays like they do on most weeks. And again, I think that was another big part of the game and why the Chiefs won. And adding on that to, like we said, the 1st and 2nd down, and I know a part we want to hit on is the strategic blitzing, right? That's where like Spags is special. And you got to be willing, to me, when you're like you've heard me say, and we've talked about the Dolphins, the Eagles, you got to be willing to take a few chances on 1st and 2nd down and go, I'm going to bring this blitz. I know it might leave this one area voided, but I can't stop everything their offense does on first and second down. So we're going to take a tactical chance. I'm going to call this blitz because if they do this formation or this personnel set, that I feel kind of like I got a clue of what they do on the offensive side of the ball, so I'll take a chance. And for this game, it was corner blitzes. Spags is the best corner blitz defensive coordinator in football. Every week he kind of sends a few, and when you don't think it. And early on in this football game, he sent a few, and it got Miami thinking about it, worried about it on the sidelines, and, of course, got them behind the chains a few times that set up the Chiefs' defense for success.
Yeah, per PFF, Kansas City uses the defensive back blitz on 20% of their plays this season. That is third most in the NFL. The Vikings do it a lot. I saw this graphic on Brian Flores. It's like sending six-man pressures at a 30% clip or something like that.
Well, because I know he's got some of the same beliefs I'm talking about. He's going, I don't care how perfectly I coach our defense. With some of these offenses right now, you can't be right or sound with everything they're doing to you. So you got to turn the tables and put the pressure on them a little bit and go, I'm doing this today. What are you going to adjust to it? Because this is going to plays up by you, and you better adjust off it or not call some of these plays. And I think that's where it's great. And the other thing I think where they both realize as Spags or Flores is where they've stopped this, oh, you want to bring your receiver in tight so we can't jam him, or now he can use the natural pick. Well, you want to bring our corner closer? Well, we're going to put our corner up there to jam him. We don't care that he might get picked a little bit. And we might blitz him from time to time. And you don't know when he's coming, and it's going to mess up some of your plays, and I think that's the reason they do it. The Dolphins do a lot of those tight splits, and that's when it invited the Chiefs to kind of be daring and bring those blitzes.
New England's another team that pressures and sends that corner blitz.
Same type of thing, I'm sure. Right.
So in this game, 4 of the 9 plays in the fourth quarter, the Kansas City Chiefs blitzed their defensive back, and so they really amped it up in the fourth quarter as this game went on. And I think we have some screenshots of this too for Tua especially. I think this was, 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Pete, do we have these screenshots? Okay, yep, hold on, okay. We'll play elevator music. Oh, there it is. Oh, and we've boxed in the people. Well done here, Pete, Kristen, Gabby, and crew. Yes.
Yeah, no, and this is fourth
5 minutes
quarter,
to
right?
go,
5 minutes, fourth quarter. And, that they're great at, and throughout the day, they did send some 5-man pressures, right? The Chiefs, and before we show the next picture, let me just lay this out there, Pete, a little bit. The Chiefs are great at blitz 1, drop 1. Blitz 2, drop 1, right? So, and then they have people standing in the line of scrimmage, so they confuse your protection schemes. Spagnuolo is the best at exposing protection schemes in all of football. Added to the fact that they can be emboldened by blitzing and doing that because they can play man-to-man. They're one of the few teams, like we talked about the Eagles versus the Dolphins a few weeks ago. 1, have size, right, to mess up with their offensive line. But 2, when you turn on the game, most weeks you turn it on and go, man, the Dolphins are so fast. They're so much faster than the other team. And you turn on this game and you go, they're not much, if faster at all, than the Chiefs. And that's kind of how I felt when I watched the Eagles game. It just went, okay, yeah, this is a short pass by Tyreek, but, man, they're corralling him and running him down in a hurry here as a team in the back end. And the Chiefs, I would argue, their back 7 is as fast as anybody in football, especially when they have Nick Bolton and Willie Gay in there healthy. So here, let's look at this play. Again, you got to be willing to take some tactical chances against the Dolphins. So it's trips left, a receiver tight to the right. It doesn't, from this look right here, Ahmed, a quarterback would not be programmed to think there's a blitz here. They got 3 receivers to the left and only 2 DBs, right? So you're going, they can't blitz one of the DBs and have 1 DB covering 3 receivers? How could that be? So let's go to the next clip here, Pete. And you'll look at it. There's McDuffie at the top of the screen. He's going to come off the edge. Karlaftis on the bottom of the screen. He goes in and drops back. And now what you got is a 4-man rush where now they're late to adjust to McDuffie coming off the edge, and they've dropped back and played Tampa 2 behind it, right? So they gave the illusion a little bit at snap that it was just going to be this normal 4-man rush. Then you think, okay, everything's good. You're kind of getting there. You're going, wait, that guy over there can't blitz, so we're good all the way here. oh, wait, he is blitzing, and then their top pass rusher on their team is dropping back on the other side, and we got people blocking nobody on one side, and then we don't even have enough people on the other side, and Tua, who's looking to his right, thinks he's probably okay here because he's going, wait, I got 5 blockers, they got 4 rushing, I should be good, but the way it was lined up and the way the Spags lines up the defense stresses out that protection, and then there goes Trent McDuffie coming around the edge getting the sack.
Should Tua not have looked to the left, though, because it seems like they had the number. They were winning the numbers game even if they didn't blitz there.
They should have, like, you mean for the concept to the left,
Yeah,
right? You should have
yeah.
looked at that. Well, the play here, he can work both sides. He does have, like, to what he's looking at on the right, that concept is good for this coverage, okay? So it's a cover 2 concept where they're trying to high-low L'Jarius Sneed. The problem, and why he shouldn't look to the left here, the center, left guard, and left tackle all slid left. And they have the 2 D-linemen picked up. They should be able to pick out the third. But Teron Armstead, who hasn't been playing because he's been injured, he was a little late to recognize. And as you can see on this picture right here, was late to bump out to get McDuffie because you could see they got guys on guys. They should be okay.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't adjust it and see quick enough.
There's so many fascinating things here, and I know we got to move on to the next one. But another one that you've pointed out already a couple times is the physicality that they chose to
no doubt
use on the wide receivers for the Dolphins.
You stop. You can't let Tyreek Hill have free releases, right? They had some plays where they jammed the shit out of Tyreek Hill, like to the point where you go, I don't see Tyreek Hill get caught like this at the line of scrimmage, right? That's where I think the Chiefs' comfort of we've practiced against him before, like L'Jarius Sneed, he snuck him a few times and got him. But even whether it was zone or man, they challenged him and never really let him have free access releases. He was going to have to adjust and stutter and try to set you up every time. And we've talked about that in other weeks. You can't just let him fly up on your safety and be like, hey, safety, you got Tyreek Hill flying at you 100 miles per hour, and he can go any way he wants. Good luck covering him. Oh, yeah, you're supposed to cover him. Yeah, good luck. There's no way. So that's where they did a really good job. And you play the Dolphins, get them to third down like we talked about. Stop the edge runs. It's another thing we've talked about. They love the toss cracks. We're going to get the toss crack. We're going to have a receiver or tight end split out, and he's going to block down on your DN and your linebackers, and now we're going to get the edge, and Raheem Mostert's a track star. The good teams stopped that. The Eagles, the Chiefs, they blew up those blockers, and they never let them get outside the whole game and basically forced them back inside, and then don't let the McDaniel specials, which I call them, beat you, which was the screens, the fumble by Tyreek Hill that could return for a touchdown, a McDaniel special. But because they're playing aggressive, in-your-face, man-to-man type coverage, 2-man on that play, right? They recognize it right away. And you could see from the early on, one of the first plays of the game, they try to throw a wide receiver screen. They were so all over it and ready to stop that kind of stuff going on throughout the day because once that goes off, you're screwed. Then it's, now they're getting 20 yards on screen plays. Now they're faking the screen, and we're all overreacting, and people are downfield doing that. There's just, it's a snowball of bad things that can happen once you let those few things happen, and they did a great job stopping
I
them.
love it. It's why I love when these good teams face off against the other good teams because you really see.
You see the flaws, the strengths,
Exactly.
and where they need to fix, or there's an issue, no doubt about it. It is the fun part of it,
The
for
Chiefs
sure.
and Dolphins both on a bye, so maybe Mike McDaniel's got to get back into the lab and figure out an adjustment now that some of these good teams have figured some things out. Cowboys and Eagles, another one of those matchups where it was good team versus good team. You took a look at the Cowboys defense against the Eagles offense because I think there's two sides to this coin too. I think there are some things that you did not like with what the Dallas Cowboys did in this game, and you'll get to those. But it also did feel like they had some success against Philadelphia, holding them to under 300 yards.
Yes.
The fewest that the Eagles have had in a game since week 1 against a New England Patriots team.
Yeah, no, there is a lot to be happy about, proud about if you're the Dallas Cowboys, right? We talked about Sunday night and everything. They should have the confidence to go, wait, if we play this team again, we can beat them, right? I guess here's my thing. And again, I don't want this to be taken lightly because like you said, they did a lot of good things, all right? But I think, again, if I started with my thesis statement, my problem with the Dallas D is too much lineup in it. Not enough tactical gambles like we just talked about, and the Eagles, more than maybe anybody in football, okay? I know that Dallas wants to play, they want to play confuse you at the line of scrimmage and play aggressive man-to-man. That's usually what they want to do. But they can't do that against Philadelphia because if you play aggressive man-to-man, as we know all the time, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to go off on you, right? Let alone Dallas Goedert and all that. They played more zone in this football game, more stuff like that, right? Okay? And I'm okay with that to a degree, right? But the Eagles, maybe more than anybody in football, have shown that they can go on the longest, most patient drives in the history of the sport. I mean, we've seen 17-play drives, 18-play drives, 14-play drives, 11-play drives. You see it every week from the Philadelphia Eagles. So to think you were just going to go, hey, we're going to kind of keep them in front of us and play simple, and they'll make the mistake, and we'll win the game that way, I don't think you can do that against Philadelphia. You can't. You know, to me, they've proven enough times that they will kill you with the slow death if you play that way. And to me, that's kind of how I felt with this one. That's right. You know, and this is, to me, you know, one of the reasons Cowboys can't beat, you know, some of the good teams or the teams that are better than them because they're in a bind because of lack of size on their D-line. And then they want to play that way that I just explained, but that's not going to beat the really good teams and really good quarterbacks. And so that's where I worry about them a little bit, you know, in that capacity. Still a really good game plan. I got that. I understand that. I still felt like every time Philadelphia needed to make the drive, they were going to make the drive. That's what I will say. And I know people are going to go, well, what about the end of the game? Okay. Well, the end. All right. So here's the second half. The second half, they go down and score a touchdown. First drive. Second drive, they go down and score another touchdown. 11 play, 87 yards. Now, the third drive is when Dallas got stopped at the half-inch line. So they started on their own half-inch line, and they kind of, that messed up things. The first play was a push-tush just to give them some room. They ran it again to give a little bit more room, so they went 3 and out. The fourth drive, okay, again, they were up 28-23 with very little time left in the football game, and they were trying to run the clock out. Hopefully we get a first down and the game's over, you know. They got to a 3rd and 3 on that fourth drive, and he threw a go route up the left sideline to A.J. Brown, and he had him, and he threw it out of bounds. But let alone he had the underneath guy for the first down, wide open, right, who he should have thrown to. I believe it was, I want to say it was Zacchaeus, all right? You know, so that happened. And then, of course, now they get the ball back with 1:15 left, and they're just run the ball 3 straight times because they're trying to run the clock out with 1:17 left. Right. So I didn't necessarily look at those moments and go, oh, the Dallas defense stopped them, right? I look at it a little bit as the situation made Philadelphia be a little conservative and not go for it like they normally would. And that played in Dallas's favor. Nothing against Dallas that way, but, you know, that is basically my thesis there of Dallas's performance on that side of the ball.
I kind of think we're getting to a point where, if you're even a good defense, you need to do things to make the Eagles uncomfortable because they're almost the most dominant force. The time of possession you noted in your notes here, I think they're 3rd in the NFL right now.
Exactly.
They can quick strike.
They can score in 2 plays or 17 plays.
Exactly.
Yes, you have to. You know, and this is something we talked about last year, and this is why you heard me gush so much about the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because the Chiefs were the first team that went, we can't stop them. You can't. We're going to have to do some crazy shit to stop them. And they were bringing corner blitzes and all-out blitzes on like 1st and 10 on the Eagles' own 25-yard line, like things you don't ever do, but you have to do to beat them. And that's where I think they need to go back. Not that they got to be crazy, but they just got to make Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense think a little bit more. There was way too many plays in this game where it was just like, break, hey, ready, break. We break the huddle. Oh, it's cover 4. They're not moving. They're lining up in it. Set HUD. Hey, it's cover 4. And the first drive of the second half, it was almost arrogant by the Dallas Cowboys. They played man-to-man 6 plays in a row. Guess what happened on play 6? Bomb touchdown, Devontae Smith. Okay? So that's where, you know, you can't be predictable against them. You got to change it up like we talk about with all the good defenses.
You brought it up, so let's go inside the numbers powered by AWS, and we'll power up the dots on that exact play that you just mentioned. Jalen Hurts touchdown to Devontae Smith. Perhaps a bad scheme by the Cowboys. What are you doing? You can't keep up with him like that. So here's the numbers on this play, and this was awesome too. Air distance, according to Next Gen Stats, 50 yards through the air. Sideline distance was 0.5, so that means he was a half a yard from the sideline was Devontae Smith. They calculated the completion probability on this play, 17%. They said just 17% of the time that's a completed pass. It was here. And Hurts now has thrown a league-high 16 touchdown passes when targeting go routes since 2022.
He's a great go route thrower, right? We've always said that. He's a good deep ball thrower. And then he has two guys that are phenomenal in one-on-one downfield situations, whether it's 50-50 or they can just beat you, right? And this was just an absolute dime, perfect pass. But again, they must have been like, wait, they're calling man again? Okay, we got to send guys on go routes. Enough of this crap. We can't let them get away with this. And the pocket was perfect. As you see, Hurts drops the ball right on the outside shoulder. Devontae Smith does a great job tracking it, catches it. Boom. You can't stop that. And that, to me, again, is why you can't be that predictable that many plays in a row. Dallas's D-line, in this game, with their front four, pressured Hurts maybe as much as I've ever seen anybody pressure Hurts with just their front four. So that was encouraging. But it still wasn't enough. And that's where, again, the tactical changes, hey, disguising coverages a little bit, hey, we're going to blitz, but then we drop back into the conservative coverages we played. I think they would go a long way as compared to just lining up in it like they did in this football game.
And that was Inside the Numbers, powered by AWS. The Eagles are on a bye this week. Man, no one's playing. Who's playing in the NFL this week? Oh, the Cowboys are playing. They take on your Giants.
Yikes.
Pete wonders if
Don't tune in.
If we should pray for Tommy DeVito.
Yes, we should. We need to pray for him and his health. We do.
The Cowboys, you come away from this game and you liked what Dak Prescott did.
Yes, I did.
On the offensive side of the ball, even though you didn't do a deep dive there.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys, if they take some more chances, they can play with the Eagles.
They can definitely play with the Eagles. I don't think they're ever going to beat the Eagles if the game goes status quo, right? They're not going to – if the Eagles don't turn the ball over, they're not going to beat Philly. They're not. I got to see it to believe it. Philly's phenomenal that way. So to me, yes, they can beat the Eagles, but they got to do one thing extraordinary through the game, whether it's a strip sack, fumble, an interception, or something like that. They do need that. If they think we're just going to play for, hey, the game's going to be clean on both sides and we'll just go back and forth at each other, I'm going to take the Eagles to win that kind of matchup every single time. Right? They've proven to me that they can win those games. We know that. So, yeah, there's got to be a little something there. I love the way Dak Prescott played. He was phenomenal. He made plays within the system and outside the system, really did it all.
I'm going to guess here, knowing the answer,
right,
that you liked how the Bengals approached guarding Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills a little bit better than how the Cowboys went about it tactically against the Eagles. The Bengals got the win on Sunday Night Football, seen live on NBC. 24-18 was the final score. So how'd they do it? How'd this Bengals team, you looked at the film, Lou Anarumo, you have a lot of respect for him too. It's between him and Spags. Who would you put higher here?
I like it. They have different styles, right? They're both game plan specific. Spags maybe a hair more aggressive, going to send more of those tactical blitzes and all that, right? Lou Anarumo doesn't really want to blitz ever, right? He wants to do some things every now and then that look like it might be a blitz or whatever, but back out, But their big thing is a million different coverages, combination zone coverages. Ooh, here's a snap of man-to-man to keep you honest. Back to some crazy disguises. You don't know what we're in. Oh, my gosh, it's all-out blitz. Oh, no, it's Tampa 2. It wasn't all-out blitz. Oh, it's all-out blitz. Oh, it's a three-man rush, and we're playing cover 3, right? Oh, it's all-out blitz. Oh, it's all-out blitz. Oh, it's actually man-to-man in a three-man rush with a rat in the middle and a guy spying Josh Allen. So it's a little different way, but still, what's it doing, Ahmed? Like we talk about, it's making the quarterback think. It's not allowing the quarterback and offensive coordinator to ever really get in a rhythm to go, hey, they're playing like this every time we get in this formation. You don't know what going to get, let alone the way they do game plan specific coverages is really special. And they kept Bills and company off base with that all day long.
So they blitzed just 13% of the time versus the Buffalo Bills in their game this past Sunday, and they limited that deep passing game. So a lot of those coverages, and it's like, we're not going to let you do what you do best.
That's
and
right.
So Josh Allen, 20 yards or more down the field, you're like, that's their bread and butter. Just get it out there. Use his arm. He was 1 for 3, had the touchdown, but also had the interception on his deep throws. Just 3 deep throws for
Just
Josh
3
Allen
deep
in
throws.
the game.
Right. The touchdown, right? Phenomenal
the
throw.
Touchdown.
I got that. So
that was the lone completion.
And then you said it, the interception, which was kind of like, hey, we might show pressure, and they dropped back and played 3-man rush and played Tampa 2 with a P dropper, so there's 8 guys in coverage. A P dropper. You know how the Tampa 2 linebacker goes way down the middle of the field? Well, and P dropper Tampa 2, the middle linebacker still goes deep down the field, but one of the D linemen dropped back and replaced where that middle linebacker was, so you have somebody underneath too, and that point's not voided, right? So now you got,
rushing 3?
You're rushing 3, and you got 5 underneath and 3 deep in Tampa 2, right? Instead of 3 deep and 4 underneath, right? So it makes it tough on a quarterback to find lanes where to throw the ball, right? But yeah, and then there was one deep post, I want to say, that he threw and ended up being incomplete. But, yeah, I mean, again, it goes into a little bit of like we've been talking about with Buffalo, right? Don't let him throw bombs, and don't let him run around like a crazy man and make all these plays scrambling and then throwing lasers, and you can contain the Buffalo offense. And that's, what we kind of saw in this one. And this way it wasn't necessarily as much with pressure or man-to-man stifling, but just the overall great disguises, changing of coverages, having a plan for Allen, confusing him and Ken Dorsey, and it worked continually throughout the night.
Let's name check some of these Bengals, because you did it in your notes.
Yeah.
You thought DJ Reader and BJ Hill were too much to handle up front. They just held their own up front.
That's the other problem, and that's what stinks about Buffalo a little bit sometimes, is they can't run the ball just against the front 4. Forget Cincinnati's got to bring people back into the box. They were never worried about that. They didn't ever have to worry about it. They were just like, no, our 2 guys in the middle are like 4 guys. You guys can't move them. So it's like we got a 6-man front. So, yeah, they give them a great advantage in that they never, or it's rare that they have to go, hey, we need to put another guy in the box. Those 2 are great space eaters. They can 2-gap. They can hold their ground against double teams. They can really do it all, let alone when they sent 3-man rushes, they collapsed the pocket on Buffalo a few times where you're just like, are you kidding me, Buffalo? You got a 3-man rush. He should be able to sit back there, pat the ball, manipulate people, and he couldn't even do that. He had to get out of the pocket on a few of them because not only were there nowhere to go, but they didn't block the 3 guys. So then he had no choice, and that's discouraging if you're a Bills fan.
And a lot of times in your notes, you'll say one guy who popped and showed a lot of speed out there. You might show 2 guys, like these guys fly around the field. You listed like 5 numbers in the defensive secondary for the Bengals.
I'll go through them if you want me to.
Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Nick Scott is one of them too. Mike Hilton, was also one of them.
Cam Taylor Britt. Their secondary is as fast and athletic as anybody in the NFL. A little bit like we just talked about with the Chiefs. They're between their linebackers and their secondary, it is fast, right? The safeties cover a lot of ground. I still think they're probably getting used to that defense, with Von Bell and our guy down in Atlanta, Jesse Bates, being gone. Yep. I think that's part of maybe why their defense struggled early on in the football year, and they've let up some big plays. But, Dan, their potential and where they're going is scary damn good. And we talked about the D tackles, and, of course, we know the pass rushers on the edge, and Hendrickson not Sam Hubbard, excuse me. I was going to say Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard are damn good, too. So that's where they got it all. There's only one thing that concerns me about the Bengals defense: lack of depth on their front 4. That is something that does bother me. They asked those 4 to play a lot during the game, and there is a drop-off when the next group comes in, and that's something I worry about them a little bit with the top teams in football.
The Bills' next game is Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. Broncos come in with a little extra rest in that game, coming off a bye, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
And the Bengals take on Houston, which leads us to one more thing.
Exactly. You're right. Way to go. You're starting to figure me out in week 9.
I sensed it.
Only thing I wanted to say, all right, just to button it up with the Bills a little bit. For the 4 out of 5 weeks we're going to talk about, what excites you on the offense? There's never a play or a scheme where you go, wow, that was cool. Number 17 is the only thing you talk about, and there's very few plays where the offense delivers anything. Right? Good plays are him sliding or buying time and then throwing a laser. That's what it is. I never would sit there and go, wow, that was cool. Ooh, this is a cool little thing they brought to the table here and are playing other plays off of. So that's something that continues to bother me about this, Bills offense, and I don't know really what they're going to do to remedy it.
And that was one more thing brought to you by Columbo, which is streaming right now on Peacock. If you're watching this on Peacock right now, you can, once you're done with this, you just go and stream some Columbo. I love that show. Before we go, I want you to give some love to your guy.
Yeah, let's do it.
CJ Stroud.
Right.
Because you went back, and I was like, you're grinding all these defenses. We made you look at 3 defenses.
How dare you?
I was like, let's give you a treat at the end of it. Go look at CJ Stroud. And maybe look, and we saw those great plays at the end. Tank Dell, awesome. I mean, he's just carving them up at the end of the game. But look at the tape. Was it really as good? Were there more bad plays in there that we're glossing over because the finish was so good? So when you looked at the game tape for CJ Stroud, were you as impressed as you were on Sunday?
I'm blown away by CJ Stroud.
The love grows.
The love it's real. I mean, the patience, the accuracy, the quickness of the release, the ability to throw on the run, all of it are out of this world incredible for a rookie. I mean, they are. And then, like you've heard me say too, there's so many good quarterback plays where he's sitting in the pocket, he's waiting for somebody to come open. Oh, no, wait, now the pocket collapsed on me a little quicker than I expected it to. And you're like, uh-oh, what's he going to do? Most rookies, get in the fetal position and just go, okay, I'm going to take the sack. Or, they try to run around like a chicken with their head cut off a little and try to do something.
Fumble.
He's like resets to the right spot and knows where his check down is and gets it out real quick. Or throws the ball at somebody's feet just to get it out in time to not take the sack. That's where I'm just amazed by it. Right? So, and then like I talked about, his ability to push the ball down the field with such ease. Right? It's like 20-yard out routes. It might as well be a 4-yard out route. The way in which he can throw it, the accuracy in which the location he puts it, it's through the roof good. And this is not an offense that's like, hey, we're throwing a screen and he got 50. And, oh, here's another short pass and he ran for 40. Every throw is 15, 20, 25 yards down the field. And he just puts it on the money with one good decision after another. And I think that's where I'm just like, amazed by it. All the perfectly thrown footballs that allow the receivers to run after the catch and maximize what's there to be gained after the catch. That's incredible. So, that's where I'm just amazed by it. He's one of the best play action quarterbacks in football, and he's one of the best downfield throwers in football already, right? And, I just, like I said, I think he's as good a rookie quarterback as I've ever seen in my life.
So this combination, you've mentioned it before with our offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, right?
Yeah, Bobby Slowick, yeah.
Do we know if we're saying that right?
Yeah, I think it's Bobby Slowick. I thought it was Slovic.
It's a W.
It's a W, but I think it's, one of those Eastern European.
Hey, Bobby, if you're a homie, can you just tweet at us and make sure we're saying your name right there? Because we want to give you proper credit here. Because you just mentioned it. You think that what Stroud does with his accuracy, downfield, able to put it in tight windows, arm strength, he's a great play action passer, and this play action game that Slovic has, you also like a lot.
It's another lesson in, like we talk about with rookie quarterbacks sometimes, where they always go, let's manage him, let's throw it short and get the ball out of his hands. Here's a great example of, no, let's let the field spread out. Let's let the young quarterback not have everybody jumbled up in one area and be able to see things a little bit. So that's where I love it. They don't give up on the run. Even in this game, they didn't run the ball very well. And that would be one thing I'd look at on Tampa's side of the ball. Tampa kept playing defenses for a period of time where I was like, wait, are they confused in who they're playing? Do they think they're playing the 93 Cowboys? I mean, there's a few times during the game where you're like, Todd Bowles, what are you guys doing? There's 9 guys at the line of scrimmage. He's already thrown for 280 yards. They can't run the ball. Back off and play pass defense. Like, what are you doing, right? So that played into this a little as well. But, yeah, I think it's the perfect offense for him, and they're managing him the right way. They're managing without managing him, right, if that makes sense. He doesn't have the whole playbook. They're not like, hey, here's the ball, throw the ball all over the place every play. They've done that when they've had to in football games, but even when they have to, they still try to, hey, let's keep a guy in the block. Hey, let's still work the play action. Even though we haven't run the ball worth a damn and we're down by 10 points here, it's still a nice thing for our quarterback. It makes him feel protected. It opens up the field a little bit. So that's where I really love it. And then, hit hot routes, dump offs, throwaways, always knows where to go, right? His accuracy and arm strength make you defend every inch of the field, right? And McCollum, number 27 at the end of the football game, he learned that because that last 25-yard out route that set them up for the touchdown, I mean, McCollum, number 27 for the Bucks, he was not in bad position. When I was watching live, I wanted to go, what an idiot. What was he thinking? I mean, just let him throw underneath. He backed off with pretty good distance. I think he was at a spot where he's like, he ain't going to throw this. I'm here. This guy is just a few feet from me, right? He's not going to do this. And if he does throw it, he's not going to be able to get this in here. And then C.J. Stroud just, boom, lets it go right on rhythm and, of course, puts it in the perfect spot. And the perfect spot beat McCollum and his body positioning, which wasn't that bad, like I said. And that, of course, set up the double post with a touchdown a play or two later.
It could be one of the more interesting games this week. Texans at Cincinnati. Lou Anarumo, we just talked about him. What will he do to try to confuse or slow down C.J. Stroud, and will it work? We will be watching that this weekend. And now we close the book on film review, midseason awards. That was a giant pod.
That was meaty, but we had to do it.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Good. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did because you're stuck doing this podcast whether you like it or not. So you might as well make it fun.
It doesn't matter if I like it or not, but I did actually enjoy that. That was very fun.
Hopefully we hit on some good things there that the homies enjoyed. Little X's and O's football, little things about some defenses out there that make them good, bad, and whatever else. We got some exciting matchups in Week 10. We'll be talking about them tomorrow on Pro Football Talk Live in the morning with Florio, and then we'll break them down even more with the Chris Sims Unbuttoned PFT PM collaboration of our Joint Picks podcast with Mike Florio. Ahmed, you were the man as always. Thanks for driving the ship. Thanks for making me sound intelligent as much as you can. That's a hard job. Everybody be good. You know where to find us. Keep sending in the questions, the thoughts. Challenge me. You know I love it. Okay? Philadelphia fans, calm down. I was just bringing up food for thought on the catch rule at the end zone. I picked you guys to win the game and to be one of the best bets of the day.
Sensitive.
Chill out. Chill out. You don't have to hate me because I was bringing up a conversation that's broader to football. All right? And I've talked plenty good about your team and Jalen Hurts all the time. All right? Everybody be good. Peace out. Clap it up.
Clap it up.
Yo, what up, homies? Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Right now, we got Sunday pod, right? So you can have it Monday morning. We recap all the action. Wednesday, it's the What the Happened podcast. We're going to get deep in the weeds on the key matchups of the week. And then Thursday, I'm picking games with that jerk Florio. So you know where to find us, homies. Keep watching. Peace out. We'll see you.